Hey, and welcome to the course Launch Your Podcast, a beginner's guide to podcasting. I remain Samuel Adie, the chief troublemaker at Podlob, and your guide for this course. In this module or lecture 2, I will be showing you how to edit your podcast with Audacity. So at the end of this module 6, you should be able to do one thing, and that single thing is edit your podcast using Audacity. So let's head right straight into how you can edit your podcast using Audacity. First of all, I need you to understand is learning Audacity is very, very easy. It's as easy as you can get from any other easier than every other software out there. Don't mind this old looking interface. It looks like some software from 1980 something. Right? When the software started. Yeah, maybe that around that time. Anyways, it's quite easy, and I would show you in this course. Now, I want to give you a quick overview. I know I touched that in lecture 1, but I want to give you a quick overview of what Audacity, of different parts of Audacity and features. The very first line that you can see here is the menu, where you have file, edit, view, transport, tracks, generate, effect, analyze, and help. I won't go into the details of picking every features of this one by one. I'll just head straight to the upper dock. We mentioned the upper dock, and everything here refers to the upper dock. And this is where you find your software. Take, for example, this is your transport toolbar, where you can hit pause, play, fast forward, backward, you record. You have your tools bar, where you have the selection tool, select tool, the envelope tool, I don't use this often, the zoom tool, the time shift tool, and the multi-edit tool, if I'm correct. I don't know why this thing is not bringing out the description. So then you also have the recording meter. What you see here is the recording meter, and this is what tells you whether you're recording at the best I don't know I can't remember what the code is. Frequency, I guess. So you want to make sure you record on the best frequency. The best is 9, but anything between 12 and 6 is great. Going outside of 6 towards 0 is going to give you terrible audio. And now when you stop recording, you want to play back. This is what bops up and moves until so that you can see what you're recording. So most times it should be between 12 and 6. Don't be too crazy about that, but make sure it doesn't go beyond 6. If it hits 24 to 18, you can still amplify it, but I try as much as possible with practice to record between 12 and 6. You have the playback. Yeah, this is the playback meter. You have the mixer toolbar. The mixer toolbar is the mixer toolbar. Okay, yeah, this is a mixer toolbar. No, this is a tools bar. I'm sorry to confuse you. But anyways, let's head over to this. This is a mixer toolbar, where you have your mics and where you can increase and reduce the volume of your recording while you're recording, or your playback while you're playing it back. You have the edit tool, where you can cut, clip, paste to clipboard, and these that I don't use often. Then there's undo and redo. Then there's I don't use this often anyway. And if you move down, you have the zoom bar, the zoom component of the toolbar, where you have the zoom in, zoom out, blah blah blah. And then this is to fit to screen. I use this often when I need to see a whole picture of what I've been doing since morning. You have the transcription toolbar. Transcription toolbar basically allows you play your recording in. I'll show you how to use this, but it allows you to play it whether you want to play fast, like Talking Tom and all that, and you can do that with this. You also have the device toolbar, where you can automatically set up your microphone or whatever recording or monitoring devices you have imputed. Then this is a time shift tool. This is currently, I think, in minutes. You can make it in seconds, and depending on whatever, in milliseconds, in minutes, in hours, depending on what exactly you intend to achieve. There's a lower dock, where you can see your selection start time, your project rate, blah blah blah, and all that. Once you've set up your Audacity with your microphone plugged in or from scratch, it should automatically recognize your microphone when you put it in. So now it automatically recognizes my zoom, But if it doesn't, I've told you you can come here and select. It might show external mic, select it. If you're using a higher microphone, you want to, it would pop up the name like it's bringing it Zoom H series. And that's, you want to record in mono for lesser file size. The difference between mono and stereo is not in quality, it's just in the way it plays in your ears. And you don't need all about the depth of sound for podcasts as you would in music. Whatever speaker is connected, I'm currently connecting. I could use my headphone. I could use my setup right now. I can see a speaker, which is the laptop speaker because it's HP. Then communications headphones. So you just want, and this is okay at Windows. I think I called it Direct SAP the other time, but it's Direct something, not SAP. So that is basically the overview of what you have in that. And then this is your work area where you can have different different waveform, different tracks. Each track, it works on the principle of overlaying tracks. So you put one track here and you put another track here. If they're on the same line, they play together. I would explain that deeper as we go. So what I'm going to try to do is to create a podcast episode. So I head straight and import my intro. I already have my intros. Most times I don't go through this route. So what I just do is, okay, this is desktop, although this is like the proper way to import it. And I'm going to, where's my desktop? So I'm going to Paul Loeb's podcast 1. I stored everything I needed here. So I'm going to import I'm going to import switch intro. Now, depending on how you want to set up the structure of your podcast, that depends a lot on, some people come in with a short highlight of what the episode is going to be about before the intro of your podcast. I'm going to play this and let's see how it sounds.
Welcome to Switch, Pod Love's interview-based channel focused on
So this is the intro for Switch. I want it to come first, and as it's playing, I want the music to rise in the background. I'm just going to keep this very simple as much as possible. Now, what you see me do is cut out the unnecessary part. It's simple. All you need to do is just select the part you want to cut out. And if you're not too sure whether it's too tiny, all you need to do, excuse me, is to zoom out. Now, the more you zoom out, the more accurate it is that you can make your selection. Once you make your selection, you can zoom back. And then you see the hand. Once you put your arrow around this point, you can either push to this direction or push in the other direction. No matter what direction the arm is looking, you can push in any direction you want. And then you click backspace. Backspace, or you click cut, and it takes it out. So if I want to take out this.
Welcome to Switch, Pod Love's interview.
I don't encourage you to edit deep into, but if I want to take out this part, I can always take out the part and make it come faster.
Pod Love's interview.
So depending on whatever you want, and I can also split this track into two, and that is under, I use the shortcut often that I forget. I think it's here where split. I forget where split actually is. Yeah, exactly. So you come to edit, you come to clip boundaries, and you click split. If you click split, it breaks it into two so that you can use your time shift tool. Your time shift tool allows you move your file in whatever direction you want to move it, adjust it so that it aligns. So I can decide to do something like this and record in between it. It will record in a different track. So I can let it start from, just eat this back. I can let it start from here, start my recording and keep quiet and just say something in between. So let's see.
Welcome to Switch,
an interview-based channel.
Pod Love's interview-based channel.
So now, here you go. So if I hit play, yes.
Welcome to.
Oh my goodness, sorry, because of the audio setup and all that. So I'm just going to make this silent. That's Control L, but I'll talk about it later. But I just want you to see what happens there.
Switch,
An interview-based.
Pod Love's interview-based channel focused on bringing you entrepreneurs.
So you see how I came in between the clip. Sorry for the old setup. I don't know. Cam Studio can't record audio directly from my system. I spent anyways. So the old setup, you might not hear the audio very clearly, but this.
Switch,
an interview based. So you can see that my voice overlays comes in between. That's the way Audacity. If I have another recording down here, it would overlay on it. If I don't shift this, they will play on top of each other.
Switch.
An interview based. So you see, so if you want, you can come in between clips and put in the effects you want to put in, and you're good to go. So let's return back, and you can hold this back by just selecting, bringing it close and just clicking this point. It takes it out. So we brought in our like I said, the feed project. You can feed to screen, so everything is up here. The other way to import, which I do most often when I have my files, sometimes I just have my files somewhere and I just want to do recordings and all that. So now I just come to recordings, and you can also, this is the sound I intend to use. So let me use one I use for this video series, for this lecture. So you can import that way, and then import in MP3 file. Some songs are in MP3 file, but it's always great to get it in WAV format. If you can't get a WAV format, make sure the MP3 file or the reality-free sounds you're using is of high quality. So now I'm going to come back to my selection tools. I want to zoom in on this location. What I want to do is I want the song to play in the background till she finishes, and then it amplifies. You can do this using two ways. You may want to fade out. Fade in means it slowly, gradually increases. So I come to effect, and I want you to listen to me carefully and learn all about these things. They can come handy in different scenarios, so it's not just fixed to one scenario. Once you know what the tool can do or the effect can do, you would be able to create your Audacity, your podcast with ease and with such creativity. Now, the effect is probably the most wonderful, the most often used menu. I'm not sure about that for me, but it is. The most important ones, I don't actually go into all this as a beginner. What is important to you is amplify, which allows you to increase the volume of your recording if it's too low, or reduce it if it's too loud. You have fade in, which is what allows the song to gradually bring itself into the recording. Fade out is you want to slowly die out. You don't want to invert all of all this. Noise reduction is where you've recorded a silent part of your recording that records the ambience. You can take the ambience of the room out to a certain degree. Like I said in one of the lectures, it's really a great tool. Normalize, I don't use that often. If you focus on creating great audios, you won't have to use a whole lot of all this. And is there any other one? Yeah, so that's basically what I use. If you have a great recording, you won't have the need for all this. You don't want to play with this except you're a professional audio producer. If you're not, just stick with the ones I've listed out to you. So now, like I said there are two ways to do this. Again, I click that. So I can select down to this part and then come to fade in. So you see, I selected everything. I don't want this to fade in. I just want this part to fade in. Again, you're selecting everything, just this part. So selected this alone. I don't want to select this. So you come to effects and you come to where's fade in. So I'm just going to play this for you to see this. This video will probably be long, so just take your time out to see this whole process.
Welcome to Switch, Podlab's interview-based channel focused on bringing you entrepreneurs, business owners, teachers, startup founders, researchers, and enthusiasts with experiences.
So I changed my mind, and I'm going to use the actual intro music of Switch Podcast. So I go to File, I go to Import, I go to Audio, and I move down to Switch. The background music. So I'm going to use this, and yes. So this is exactly how it sounds. I want to zoom. This is where I'm working. So I want to zoom into this area and see this is too much. So I zoom out back and see what is happening. Now, if you listen to Switch Podcast, I usually come with an highlight, maybe a conversation, a highlight or whatever the guest said. So I'm just going to record something shortly. And the good thing about Audacity is like you could record the whole episode without even having to edit into it. To just align your audio where you want them to be so that when you record, I'm going to show you what I mean right now. So I'm just going to hit record and say something. Do you know that live is much more?
Welcome to
Okay, so you see the space to record is not enough. So I'm just going to drag this back a little bit so it gives me room to be able to say what I need to say before the part starts playing. So I'm going to close this. Now this is a track. Each of this is a track. So I have 3 tracks here that I'm trying to edit together. But I don't need this anymore, the recording tracks. So I'm just going to hit record again and say what I need to say. Excuse me. Do you know that life is much more than your skills? It's also about your ability.
Welcome to Switch.
Okay, I fumbled there. Yeah, you get a lot of that when you're recording. It happens all the time. I mean, sometimes it's crazy, but with time it gets better. So I'm going to try and record this again. Now, do you know that life is much more? Oh my goodness. I'm not going to cut this part out. I'll just leave it there so that sometimes. And that's the essence of scripting your show. I'm trying to say this offhand, and I don't know. It comes easy with practice, but sometimes just something that your eyes can see to keep you focused can always be helpful. So what I'm trying to say is, do you know that life is much more than your competence? It's about your attitude. So I'm going to ship this. Gives me enough room so I don't have to rush. So skip to start to make sure it starts from the beginning and hit record. Do you know that life is much more than your competence? It's also about your attitude. So I can stop that because now I need this is what I recorded. Do you know that life is much more than your competence? It's also about your attitude. Okay, so I'm going to go back and make sure it starts immediately. Now, the essence of this highlight, you not necessarily have to use it, but it gets your listeners excited from the start. So even while you do your intro, they still want to know what led to what you said or what your guest said. So I'm going to go to Effects, Amplify. Remember, Amplify is a good way to increase the volume of whatever recording you have. This is the portion I want to amplify. If I want to amplify the whole track, all I need to do is just click on this part here, and then it selects the whole track here. So I'm going to, now there is a feature here, allow clipping. You don't want to allow clipping. Now, you don't want to allow clipping because when you do, what it means is it goes beyond 6 and starts hitting the roof and starts making all those annoying noises. So no matter how low you reduce it, the audio just sounds loud and irritating. So never select clipping. Now, what you have here, what comes up before you change anything, is the maximum value of decibel that you can have, beyond which if I click 7 now and I want to click OK, it won't allow me because it's clipping already, except I click on the allow clipping button, and I don't want my audio to clip. It's poor quality, so I'm not going to go for that exact 6.3. I'm going to go for something less, say 5.8, and I click OK. I'll preview it if I want to see if it's loud. You know that life is much more than your competence. So it's also about your attitude. Always watch this area. You want it to be between 12 and 6, maybe between 18 and 6, but always try as much as possible to make it. So I'm just going to click OK. You see the height of the wavelength increase. You see it's increasing now. You can notice that this part is a lot more louder than this part. So if I want to be really crazy about editing, I can just make sure that this part is a bit higher. So I come down here and I change this to like 4. I don't want it to be too loud, and see a slight improvement. So now what I do is I play the intro and I let the music, and I let our voice come in immediately after the intro. So what I want to do is I want to take out this silent part of a voice. Remember, this is switch intro. You can rename your track here so that it's easy for you to walk around. Come to name, and I can say intro. So when I'm looking, see, this has changed to intro. So when I'm trying to walk in between, and I can also, once I'm done with this, I can always minimize it so it gives me more room to work with what I need to do. So I want to take this portion out. You could click Court here, or just backspace on your desk, on your keyboard, and then select the time shift tool. Now sometimes it's hard to align these two together. I can also move tracks up and below whatever I need to. You can click on this, hold it down and drag it up, it will move it. Or you come down here and select move track to up, move track down, move track to the top if you want to go to the top, if you want to go to the bottom. So I want to take this to the top, so it takes me to the top. Now I can use my time shift tool, which is this tool, to drag this down here so that it aligns and it starts playing immediately after my voice plays. Now after my voice plays, I also want this to start fading in as she says what she needs to say. Now remember that the envelope tool is one crazy tool that allows you control the different volumes in your recording. So, and what you have here with this envelope tool, it makes use of what we call the keyframes. Now the keyframes are all the small knobs that hold your recording in position while you walk in between. So I have a keyframe here, I have another keyframe here, and then I can create crazy shapes. See that this keyframe and this keyframe allows me walk, keeps this in position while I walk on this, so it allows you to create audio shapes that you want to create and give you the right sound that you want to create. So I'm just going to go back here. This is what I want to do. There are two ways to do it. I can either clip it here and then drag this down and make this and make this go in so that it increases this way, so that at the end of a voice, just at the end of a voice, I want this to be very loud. So I'm going to play this right now, and then you see how our voice fades in and fades out. So back and hit play.
Do you know that life is much more than your competence? It's also about your attitude.
Welcome to Switch, Podlab's interview-based channel focused on bringing you entrepreneurs, business owners, teachers, startup founders, researchers, and enthusiasts whose experiences you can learn from.
Okay, so the background music is a little bit low, so I'm going to go to Effect, Amplify, and change this to 3. Besides, the way the voice came in was not as cute as having the sound also play along with it. So I'm going to shift this whole thing here so that it starts to fade in just to where my voice picks up. And then because I want this to be a background music, if I play this like this, if I select on this portion, the audio will compete with our voice. So you don't want that to happen. It's a background music. So I want to clip it here so that anything after this button here does not change. It stays the way it is, and I can use this to regulate my create this sound into a background sound. So don't be crazy about either line. I can be crazy about that sometimes, but it's just a pure waste of time. So
much more than your competence. It's also about your attitude.
Welcome to Switch, Podlab's interview-based channel focused on bringing you entrepreneurs, business owners, teachers, startup founders, researchers, and enthusiasts whose experiences you can learn from.
okay, now sometimes you want to listen to the old track to get the highlight of the music. The highlight of the music is around there where you add that beat. So I want to make sure that when our voice stops, the highlight comes in, something like this. So I can see, I can note. I think you can even add a marker to that, but this is what I do. I try to look at my this is it. Let me see if I can even add. I've never used that tool before, but it's possible to add okay, so this is a portion that it brings up that beat. So I want this part to come just after a voice. So I'm watching it. This is a voice. Come on. Yes, so I need to move this a little bit. Yes. Now this way, everything else, I can work on everything else the way I want to work on them. I already put that in position. I can come here and make sure that this whole place is silent by clicking. I need this whole part to be silent. I don't need it to play. Oh, you want to make sure that you're only selecting that track, or else everything else will be silent. So Control L will give you silence. I think you come to effect and I used the shortcut too much that I can't even remember where silent is. Silence, is this it? No. So just Control L. I mean, you could go over and search and search for that. I don't want to waste the time. So Control L makes up. If I say Control, if I delete it, it would move the track, and then it will change the position of the beats that I'm trying to make sure comes after a voice. So Control Z. I'm just going to use the silent tool and let this fade in. No, this is what I want to do. So I'm going to keep this here and let this fade in with our voice. Now this is also still a background music. I want to shift this clip down here, so hold it in position here and let the music gradually increase. So there you go. Now I don't want you to get too carried away by the way I create my own podcast, by my structure. I just want you to understand how you can apply each of all these tools that you have around it to create your own unique podcast. So it's not in how I use it, it's how it can be used. So you go back here and then you play.
Do you know that life is much more than your competence? It's also about your attitude.
Welcome to Switch, PodLab's interview-based channel focused on bringing you entrepreneurs, business owners, teachers, startup founders, researchers, and enthusiasts whose experiences you can learn from.
So let me give you this quick tip. Podcasting is much more than just giving them the message. How you give them the message is important. Now, if you notice the difference between what I did the other time, there was no effect in the first one, the first recording I showed you, but I created a sense of expectation. I don't know what that feeling is, that kind of yes, I can do it kind of feeling, with just understanding what this background music is all about, looking for the highlights of those background music and making sure they come after a voice or something. So with this now,
Experiences you can learn from.
boom. So you want to try as much as possible. You're not manipulating people, but you're trying to, when you pass across a message, you want to make sure that it delivers the way you want it to deliver. And your background music can have a whole lot of effect on that. You can't be doing comedy and you're using a very slow background music. You can't be doing relationships and you're doing funky music. It won't sink in. Your message won't sink in. If you're doing all this motivational, you have to pick the right music for your podcast. It's a lot more about the emotions and the message and how you're able to create the feeling that they have while listening to your podcast that will make them stick to it. So after this, you can let the music play for a while, not too long, so that you don't keep them waiting. So let's see this. I'm just going to gauge this a bit.
Whose experiences you can learn from.
So I'm going to select it from here, this portion, and I'm going to change this back using my envelope tool, clip this portion, and anything after this side would not move except behind the side. So I can change this back to whatever, and then and then either import a recording that I have before. So I can come here and come to import audio, and I'm going to import this. I can import this. This is like support for this podcast, or I could decide to record in real time. So if I were to import, take for example, if this is, let me just import something. I have to go to libraries, port loop. Other recordings. So let me just import. What am I going to? 6 things you should do before quitting your job for entrepreneurship. Okay, so let me just import. Why am I so confused? Okay. So I'm just going to bring this in. I'm just going to bring this in. This is a very large file. It's going to take time. Okay, so we're done importing the audio. Now, Audacity brings it to the bottom down here, and then you can try and shift it up. Remember, we're done with this part, so I minimize this. I'm also done with this part, so I minimize this. So this is the part I need, and I wanted to come up here. All you need to do is just select, hold it down, and then you drag it to whatever position you want to put it. Now, this is a recording from...
At the point of time I felt I wanted to do something good.
This is a recording from Seun Onigbinde, the founder, co-founder and CEO of Budget. So this is a recording we'll just work with, pretending that this is an episode of Switch Podcast. So I'm going to drag this in here. I might even want to do an intro and say, okay, hey, welcome to another exciting episode of Switch Podcast. Today we will be talking to... So I'm going to do that recording here. If you have your background music, you would be able to hear it in your own ears while you do the recording. So it allows whatever your tempo and everything, your voice, to work smoothly with your recording. And if you don't want to listen to it, you can mute it. You won't hear it. So I'm just going to mute this part and I'd say something intro. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Switch Podcast. I remain Samuel Adiri. In today's episode, we will be talking to Seun Onigbinde, the co-founder and lead partner at Budget Nigeria. Now, one exciting thing about this episode that I'm sure you would find interesting. Okay, I'm not just going to share that with you right now. Let's head straight to the interview. So this is my recording right now. Sometimes when you begin to talk too much, you begin to say nonsense, especially if you're not scripted. But the good thing about it is the more you talk without having to follow. When I say script, I don't mean you writing every single thing down. Just give yourself an outline so you don't go outside of that. So I'm going to do backspace, and now I'm going to try and make sure that it comes somewhere around there. So I'm using my time shift tool and move it down here, and then hit play. Let's see how this sounds.
Business owners, teachers, startup founders, researchers, and enthusiasts whose experiences you can learn from.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Switch Podcast. I remain Samuel Adiri. In today's episode, we will be talking to Seun Onigbinde, the co-founder and lead partner at Budget Nigeria. Now, one exciting thing about this episode that I'm sure you would find interesting. Okay, I'm not just going to share that with you right now. Let's head straight to the interview.
Okay, so that's me introducing the old topic. I didn't even mention the topic. I forgot to mention the topic of the. You won't mention the topic. You won't introduce yourself, what you do shortly. Now, this is just between. This is less than 30 seconds. I don't advise you doing a 1 minute intro. What the heck? I mean, your listeners did not download or listen or hit play on your podcast because they want to listen to you blab about yourself. They want to listen to the value that you want to offer them. So try as much as possible to keep all your intros 1 minute maximum. I try as much. In fact, I'm still going to work on the Switch podcast by reducing that time to about 45 seconds or even 30 seconds so that they can delve right straight into the interview. Also notice that the background music was quite loud and it was competing with my voice. So I'm just going to clip it here. Remember the clip. If I walk at this other side of the clip, nothing here would change. If I walk on this other side, nothing on this side would change. So I want to reduce this a little bit. Maybe I want to even zoom in so I see what I'm doing. Oh man, okay. Zoom out a bit. Yep. So yes, click here, another keyframe. So once I'm done, I want the music to, depending on the style, I could let the interview play right on immediately or let the music go up for a few seconds, say 5 to 10 seconds. So let's go with 10 seconds here. This is 45 seconds and this is 55 seconds. 55 minus 45, easy, 10. So I'm just going to hold it around there. And remember the keyframe. Sometimes you need 2 keyframes to be able to walk in between. If I want this to dip a bit while it plays, you will feel the effect of that dip and rise again. So where is this audio? I want this to go down as a background music. And then let me fit to screen so I can see everything. Okay, so this is his audio, very long. So I can decide to cut this into 2. You can cut using control I to split, or the other way. This is mute, so I'm just going to unmute this. The other way to split it is to come to edit and come to the area where you want to split the audio. So maybe I want to listen to this part first before I split it, so I'm not splitting the voice.
So 26 people totally work for budget. 2 offices in Lagos, Abuja. 3 offices actually, Lagos, Abuja and Sierra Leone. That's where we have offices. We're trying to open one in Accra before the end of the year.
So I want to cut it around there. There were a lot of improvements I needed to do on this recording because of the emptiness of the room we used. But so I want to split it here. I come to edit, I come to clip boundaries, and you can split, which is Control I, or split new, which is Control Alt I. If you split new, it will break it into 2 different recordings. The split new. Oh man, what just happened? So it splits it into 2, but that's not what I want to do. Control Z. Oh, sorry, Control Y. So I just want to split it and be able to move. So I come to edit, clip boundaries, split. So there you go, split. And then I can use my time shift tool to move this backwards and zoom out so I have enough space to walk. I want to move this backwards away from it, and then I go back to working on my audio. So remember we said we need this to come in front. So sometimes in the beginning of your recording you might have cups, table shaking, all those kind of annoying noises. You don't want that to come up in your podcast, so always make sure you cut those part out first. So I want to mute this so I don't listen to background music. I just want to listen to the audio. Okay, so all this part I was just trying to tell him about what Switch Podcast is all about. This is where the real stuff. You can notice the difference. This is crazy, but this is a consistent with time. From the way the wavelength looks like, you'll be able to pick where you were silent, where you said, where you coughed. I mean, it just becomes all easy for you. So for me now, I don't have to listen to this whole part because I know I was just talking, I was just rambling and trying to introduce. So I'm going to select this whole part, but I want to even be careful, a lot more careful with what I select. So I'm going to zoom in a bit and select this. Yes, and then I can click backspace to cut it out.
Okay, so my name is Olusegun.
Okay, so good. We have a starting point, and now I can unmute this, zoom this out a little bit, and make sure that it starts right here. So let's listen to this and see how it sounds. This is crazy. You don't need to do this. I just wanted to show you how you could create this.
With you right now. Let's head straight to the interview.
Okay, so my name is Olusegun.
Okay, that was not great. That was not done well. So I'm just going to shift this up. For me, that felt too long a wait. I felt too long a wait. Although, I mean, just don't follow me. Like I said, it is how you can use this tool and not how I use it. So I shift this back a little bit and I hit play from here.
Okay, so my name is Olusegun, the co-founder and lead partner for project. My background, I did engineering at the University of Iowa.
So one thing you want to do, this background music is still a bit loud, depending on the style you want to go with. Is it that you want to make this a background music throughout your episode, or you want it to fade out at some point? So a good way to make your background music fade out without your listeners even knowing that it has faded out is to let it play for a while, cut it at some point, maybe Control I, and maybe 3 minutes into the interview or 2 minutes into the interview. Let's go with 2 minutes. Control Z. No, that's 1 minute. So this is 2 minutes into the interview. Okay, Control I. This used to be 2 tracks. I only imported 1 track, which is his own microphone. I didn't go into details on importing my own. So I'm going to select all this part and fade out. Effect, fade out. So it will gradually take out the sound till your listeners can no longer hear your background music. So you can see the nature of the wavelength now. See how tiny it starts to fade out till you can no longer. Yeah, so let's play this a bit and we'll see.
Okay, so my name is Olusegun, the co-founder and lead partner for project. My background, I did engineering at the University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. I didn't really love engineering, especially the methods.
So it continues to go down up to this point where you would just watch this.
There's this social impact hub in Yaba. Yaba is becoming like the cluster for tech businesses now. It's Silicon Valley of Nigeria. And this wanted to have a tech in governance boot camp, meaning looking for how technology can help improve governance, citizen engagement. And I felt, budget could do it. We could raise a sense of strong awareness about budget and public finance. And we had this boot camp. I've met Joseph before. I'm not a coder, even though I have been trying recently to learn the basics. Yeah, I'm trying to learn, especially the data science, R programming, and the rest. And Joseph stood up and said he wanted to join the team, wanted to support what we're doing with budget.
Okay, you were on a platform and you made out a call.
And so it was just easy of just asking guys to join different teams they wanted to join. And he came and said they wanted to join. And that's how we started. We're like 5 on the team. Gradually we scaled the team down to 2.
So you can begin to notice that the background music is going out until it's completely out of the music, out of the picture, out of the ears of your listeners. So that way you don't want to just cut the music abruptly. You want to give time. So if you're going to fade out over a period of time, say 1 minute, say 2 minutes, say 3 minutes, and let it gradually leave your listeners. Shocks are not best in audio, where I don't know, to you could use it for some effects, but when you want them to go along and you don't just want to change how they feel, all right, emotions. This is how far we can go, because I taking my time out to explain how you can edit your podcast with Audacity has made it gone beyond the required 30 minutes, and now this is about 45 minutes. So we're going to conclude this lecture in lecture 3, where I show you everything you need to know about editing your podcast with Audacity, so you don't have to run around when you're doing this. And this is all for me, and I'm saying bye for now. I remain Samuel Adie, the chief troublemaker at Podlob, and your guide for this course. I'll see you in lecture 3.